And thank you for joining this webinar. We are going to try and make the webinar as concise as possible, but we're going to make it worth your while. We had a full sitting capacity for registrants, and we want to believe that some of them are in various transitions and they should be on their way soon. Nonetheless, we need to respect the time of those that are in here, and we are going to start the webinar now. I promise you, you will be out of here a changed person, an enlightened person, and the next 30 minutes that you're going to devote for this webinar would be worth your while in the transformation of your journey. 2025, contrary to what many believe, is not as bleak as you think. In fact, there are a lot of opportunities that are emerging, and you will begin to see them unfold over the next few days. The critical thing for the lifeline of every business is to ensure that their cash flow does not dry up. And one of the things we're here to do is to ensure that the blood of your business, which is money, doesn't dry up. So we're going to launch in right now, and I trust that you will enjoy this session. Thank you. So what are we here for? The first thing we need to know is that we are here to empower women so that they can access finance. Of recent, there have been quite a lot of schemes, opportunities that are being made available for women, okay? And we will ask, what is the concentration for women at women? It's a global phenomenon, what we must know, number one. And number two is because really and truly, women businesses have not been on the receiving end when it comes to, there's been a lot of focus, or will I say the corporate world is structured to support a certain type of business that most of the time it's men that can meet with the terms. So right now there's a rethink on how to impact women-owned businesses. And in this meeting, we'll see the reason why there was a refocus for that. So my name is Anita, and I represent Ayzer Center for Entrepreneurship. I want to tell you something as the beginning that yes, it takes up a village, as we all know, to train up a child, but it also takes great partners to build a business. So get the partnership that you need in your business, and Ayzer Center is here to be one of those partners. Thank you. So this is who I am, and this is my bio. I am the founder of the Ayzer Center for Entrepreneurship. Code name we call TAC, or the Ayzer Center. I have about 20 years banking experience, and I've gone through the different sectors of banking, and well, this is an abridged version of my CV. But the critical thing I want to tell you is that just like you and I in this meeting right now, I started with a passion. And what was my passion? I think that passion was to see me growing that the need to solve a challenge. And the challenge was, over the banking years, I'd seen more and more people not being able, that the business is qualified, but they don't meet with the structure, okay, that the banks have put in place for them to access finance. So more and more, we're seeing businesses that erstwhile should qualify, but being disqualified just because they do not tick the boxes. And my passion was that I would not be a contributor to those that are disqualifying the businesses, but be a contributor to those that will qualify unqualified businesses. So here I am living my passion every day. And I know most of you are also living your passion every day, because women are very passionate. And when they drive their business, they drive it with heart. And over time, you will see that, in fact, it's part of the science, the reason why financing women-owned businesses impact beyond the business. It has an ecosystem that it finances. So more than just, being a, in quote, sentiment, they've actually found economic value in financing women-owned businesses. And that's why you're seeing a lot of organizations devoting, time and resources towards empowering women businesses. So, but the first question I would like to ask, even as we start this session, is has any one of us here secured finance for their business? Okay, so if you have, then it's good that I understand the demographics of the people that I'm speaking with here. So I think we can move on further. And this is just an overview of what the webinar is. We're exploring two things. Number one, financing that is available for MSMEs. Okay, we're going to ask, is it overrated What are the financial growth strategies, and what is gender finance, the hype of gender finance all about. And when we've gone through that, basically just understanding the environment, then we're going to go into what exactly is available and how do I access what is available, which is the crux of our discussions for today. So the first thing I would like to ask is another quick question, okay, so I can engage my crowd. And in 1 minute, what do you think is that number one factor that contributes mostly to this failure of startups and MSMEs? The contributing factor to the failure of MSMEs and startups. We're just going to take 30 seconds for that. Why MSMEs fail? Okay, so are we good to go? All right. So I'm sure, because we've asked this question so many times and many people have talked about so many reasons. Oh, no money, no this, no that. But then contrary to what people think about why businesses fold, yes, so a business can fold up when money finishes. But because there are so many other outlets or access routes to finance, we find out that that's not really the core reason why businesses fail. And we're going to see it in the next slide. So really, 42% of a sampling of over 101 businesses that failed found out that the core reason why they failed was because they produced things that nobody wants. Either they produced it that nobody wants, or they were not able to find the market for that need. So people that are in business, they're in business for three things. Number one, to identify a problem. Number two, to solve the problem. And number three, to make money out of that solution. That is what every business is in there for. So yes, they may have identified the problem, but they've not identified for who the problem is. So they are solving a problem without knowing who is suffering from the problem. And they're selling it to those they think are suffering from the problem, or really those people are not suffering from the problem. So this is the reason why most businesses fail. But hey, second runner up on that list is they run out of cash. So you and I are here this evening to ensure that you don't run out of cash, so that you make smart decisions for your business in the year 2025. So what do we see? Small businesses, they have access to different kinds of finance. A lot of women like opting for grants, and grants are good, okay, but they are not sustainable. So this gives you a list of the different kinds of finance that you can have. Most of us start off with friends and family and our own personal savings. And then we now move on to people that can give us some kind of funding, okay, that you don't necessarily have to repay, or it does not accrue some kind of interest, so that at least you can have a lifeline before you can start paying back. But a lot of times, okay, that kind of funding is, sometimes we look at that kind of funding to look at it for commercial transactions, trade transactions, but we find out that most of the time grants are really for social projects. That is, projects that impact people, the world, and the planet, okay, and then of course profit. So it's not only a business that is just for you and maybe the beneficiaries or the people, but then it has to impact the planet. So we're looking at social issues, helping the sick children, planting, conserving the environment, things like that. That's where you receive grants from. Now we have debt, which the banks give. Different kinds of banks, commercial banks, microfinance banks. We have finance houses, right, that are giving you all the loans. And then we have, aside the commercial debt, we have the development finance debt. And those ones are more long-term related, okay, and they're targeted at growth, okay. And so they're not looking at one transaction. They're looking at a long-term an injection of funds that will expand the whole business. And it's looking at, like I said, it's supposed to do things like hire more people. It's supposed to enable you pay taxes more effectively. It's supposed to help you expand the business from one level, take it from one level to another higher level. So it's not a short-term transaction that maybe you buy goods and you sell within 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. No. So we're looking at two years, 3 years, and upward. And of course, venture capital, which, like the name proposes, it's really about equity, which is bringing in money in exchange for shares or ownership of the company. So you see that small businesses have options to make money, to get money. But what we're going to talk here more about is the development finance, because yes, there's so many outlets out there. Every bank per se gives you access to commercial lending. But what we're going to talk about now is development finance. And most of the time, development finance banks are actually owned by the government. Here in Nigeria, we have a couple of development finance banks. The Bank of Industry, that gives money for industrialization of businesses. We have the Bank of Agriculture. Of course, as the name says, agric. We have the Development Bank of Nigeria, Nigerian Export and Import Bank, that enables you to produce towards an export-oriented business. And of course, we have the Federal Mortgage Bank for building of property, houses. Basically, it's really for housing, for your personal house, and not necessarily for commercial purposes. And of course, like I said, the microfinance bank that's supposed to take care of the microcosm of the society. So what do they focus on, especially the development finance banks? Okay, wealth creation. They focus on businesses that can create wealth, businesses that can impact society, businesses that are innovative, businesses that contribute. So we're talking about, when I talk about forward integration and backward integration, we're talking about the process or the growth stage from a business. Maybe you were doing fisheries, and now you now begin to produce the feed to help feed your fish. Or you are doing fishery, and then you are now roasting the fish to take abroad. That is, forward integration is when you roast the fish to transport abroad. Backward integration is when you do the feed to feed the chicken. So we're looking at transiting the business from one growth stage to another. I mentioned we're looking at youth and women-led businesses. These are the focus of the Development Finance Bank. And I said they're looking at long-term finance, okay, to ensure that your business grows from one level to another. So there are different sectors that we look at when we're doing development finance, the agro processing. So if you want to go into crop production, you go to the Bank of Agriculture or the Central Bank of Nigeria. But if you want to go to a processing, like I said, because the Bank of Industry is an industrialization bank, so you would rather go to the BOI. Oil and gas related, we know that right now, CNG is what is reigning, and then a lot of businesses want to see how they can transit from petroleum to CNG. So people that can offer those kind of transition services, they are willing to fund them. Solid minerals, healthcare and petrochemicals, creative industry. In fact, this one of the strengths that Nigeria has right now is their exports to the world in terms of music, in terms of movies, and of course the skits and all that. So we're looking at how do we support them. This is a global export that is giving Nigeria, I mean, the name abroad beyond oil and gas. So how can we support these areas of business? Okay, renewable energy, we must save the planet. So we're looking at what are those kind of businesses that can impact the climate, okay, and then help to bring out new innovations, okay, and then also bridge the supply chain. Now, critical amongst all of these are three core sectors, which is the gender finance, where you and I, financing female businesses, female-led businesses, and female-focused businesses. What is the difference? Female business-owned businesses are, of course, we know, the business that a woman owns. Female-led businesses are the businesses that women manage. And of course, female-owned businesses, like I said, the businesses that women own, female-led businesses are the businesses that women manage, and female-focused businesses are the businesses that are focused towards women-owned business. For example, a company that produces sanitary towels, or makeup industries, the ladies that are doing spas and things like that, that help to focus or enhance the wellness of women. So those kind of the critical segments for the gender-led businesses. We're looking at startups, and of course, we're looking at youth-led businesses. Those ones are critical to the focus of the bank right now. Okay, so there are just a couple of things that insights that we want to take a look at, statistics basically. Okay, 200 and there's a gap. There's a funding gap for women-led businesses, which is about 249 billion. And the government, this government, as well as the government around the world, are also trying to collaborate to see how we can close that gap in Nigeria. There's a growing focus from multilateral partner agencies. You're seeing the things like African Development Bank and everything to offer products that support women and women-led businesses. Okay, there's another impact. I talked about it, that when you finance a woman's business, beyond the economics of it, that is, you're giving out money and you're making back interest from it, there are a lot of other benefits. Number one is the impact to society. You fund a woman, you fund a family, you fund a generation. Apart from that, it's been known that women are more responsive to loan repayment. So what happens is that there's a very, very low rate of default. Women pay back their loans, basically. So it makes sense for any financial institution to want to lend to women because you're going to get your money back, okay? Again, there is a very robust gender policy framework that is being slow to implement. And the reason why, well, there are many reasons why, but what we know is that gradually, there is a focus to begin to say, how are we going to delve in to finance women more often? And hey, Women's Day is just around the corner, March 8th. I'm sure there are going to be some strategic policies that will come out that would enable the support of women-led businesses. Okay? Now, another thing we're seeing again is that when these loans and products were made, they were actually made to meet the needs that men can meet. Okay, when you're asking for collateral and all these other plenty documents like this, how many women, well, times are changing, but in the past, how many women actually did have these kind of assets to pledge? So you find out that women do not tick the boxes on the documentary requirements for accessing finance, and there needs to be a different way to finance to women without asking for these hard documents, okay? And then, like I said, okay, so there are so many other things. There are quite a lot of women that societally have been disadvantaged, okay? They believe that women stay home, take care of children, but over time, we've seen that when the breadwinner of the house, anything happens to him, it's the women that suffer and the children that suffer. Okay, so they're the most disadvantaged at that moment, and that's why it makes sense to empower women and make sure that they have some sense of livelihood. So these and many others are the reasons behind why there's a driving focus on supporting women-led businesses. Now I'm going to talk about the development finance banks, because we're here, that's what we're here to really talk about, okay? And the number one development finance bank I'm really going to talk about here is the Bank of Industry. Why am I going to talk about the Bank of Industry? Because the Bank of Industry over time, if you notice, they have been on the news for quite a lot of times, right? They are the ones really out there spearheading a lot of gender-based products and services. Not that the others are not, right? But we can say maybe because they're the oldest, so over time they've been able to develop a lot of products and services that are supposed to focus on women-owned businesses. But the truth about it is that many women don't even know what is available. Of recent, last week, the federal government passed the 2025 appropriation bill, or the 2025 budget. And we noticed that from the time when it was first sent to the National Assembly, and now when it was passed, there was an increase of about 4.5 trillion naira. And while people were were complaining about the increase, most people didn't care to find out where is this money going into. Well, it's good to know that a significant portion of that money is going into the Bank of Industry to lend to businesses. And the Bank of Industry is coming up with very innovative tools to ensure that women lend at little to zero collateral. So the beauty of it, right, is that for women-led businesses, they're trying to find a way to lend to women needs and also understand the setbacks of women-led businesses to ensure that the loans meet the needs, basically. So the Bank of Industry supports micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises through offering development finance. They leverage on business consultants, for which Ayzer is one of them, to help handhold the process, because sometimes the process of accessing finance can be quite cumbersome and confusing. So they said, okay, people that have been in the industry, they selected about a couple of them and said, come and help our people to access these funds. And that is what we do on a daily basis. We help businesses like yours to access the funds, making sure that those are qualifying businesses, because every loan has its qualifying criteria, even though they have reduced the criteria and then they sector focus the criteria, but there's still things that you need to meet. Okay. Other things that they do is also they offer business incubation. If you notice some of the events that you're seeing around, you hear trade fairs and events like that, quite a couple of them, the Bank of Industry is behind them. Of course, they won't come and then make so much noise about it, but you find out that there are a lot of non-finance related support that they do give medium and small businesses. And they also collaborate with MSMEs to develop synergies within the industry along the value chain. So what do? Somebody that is in processing goes to somebody, they try to create that synergy between somebody that is in processing and somebody that is in the production, let me put it that way, and they bring them together. I'd give you a typical example, okay? When they do some kind of food and drink fairs, you find out that the producers of the products are there, then every other person that contributes towards developing that product is there. Quite a lot of times, the Bank of Industry creates the platform for them to come together and then create markets for themselves. So what kind of loans does this Bank of Industry have? Now, they have loans for micro businesses, which are businesses that they can give up to you 10 million naira. And those the collateral terms for those 10 million naira have been really reduced. So as good as 2 guarantors, with 2 guarantors and with your documentation in place, you can access up to 10 million naira. Some of these facilities run between 1 to 5 years, depending on the capacity of the business. And they can have as much as 1 year's moratorium. In other words, you can have, when you access the loan, you can have 1 year to try and build up the business before you start repaying the loan. I'll talk about collateral, like I said, for guarantors are for micro loans. And then when you start looking at the bigger money, then when we now start looking at tangible collateral. Okay. The documentary requirements, like I said, that is what we are here to do. They are clear. They have been pre-indicated on the offer letter, on the application letter, and we are here to help handhold that process, okay? And of course, like I said, turnaround time for micro loans is supposed to be less than 30 days, and above is and then more than the MSME loan is above 30 days, and then you need to ensure that you have your documents in place. This has been one of the setbacks of women-led businesses. Quite a number of times, documentation is not in place because we've given all our passion towards running the business that we don't keep documents. Sometimes we don't keep records. So this may not be pertain to you, but this is what we have seen, and that is why our work to handhold is to help you to get those documents, but more important, build the systems within your business to ensure that you continue to generate the necessary records for days like this that you will require them. Next organization is the Nigerian Export and Import Bank. Like I said, it's export oriented, and they have some various women focused products. They have, for women that are in oil and gas, they have a loan that you can access up to $500,000, and the loan, it comes at 5% per annum. and you can take the loan up to 3 years and 1 year moratorium. That means you don't have to pay back the principal over 1 year. The collateral depend, because it's oil and gas related, that means you must be dealing with one of the oil and gas companies. They're giving women that are women contractors so that they can go and do those businesses and compete favorably in the places where men had dominated. So this is more or less like a discounted loan to support women-led businesses. And the terms are as seen on the screen. I'll just give you 1 minute to take a look at it, and then we move to the next kind of loan that Nexim has. Okay, I'm going to shorten that 1 minute to 30 seconds so that we can maximize our time. The next kind of loan that the Nexim has, okay, is the women and youth export related facilities. Now it's for women that have an export focus. And what they do is they finance you here when you know that you have an off-taker or somebody that wants to buy whatever products that you're selling abroad. They can finance up to 80% of that invoice that the person is going to give you and say, give me these goods, or the pro forma, and say, I want to buy so and so goods from you. That order sheet, let me put it that way, they can finance up to 80% to enable you meet with that requirement. And this is a loan for both women and youths. And these are the terms and conditions that you need to do. So take, for example, people processing ginger, people processing cocoa, and then you have an off-taker abroad. This loan is for you. Now, if you're somebody that maybe, we've seen a lot of women doing kuli, chin and locally, but we don't have specific off-takers abroad. This is not the loan for you. These ones are structured supplies. Let me put it that way. So there's an LPO in place, if I may say. You have to, but then for those that in their regular course of business, they do local production here and they want to find market abroad, then there are other loans that we would look at for you. Okay, one of them is the Bank of Industry that is suitable. And of course, we have the Development Finance Bank, and the Development Finance Bank is not a bank you can walk into. In other words, it's not a retail bank. It's a wholesale bank. That means they are bankers to banks. But they also have all their offerings within these banks, so you can take advantage of it. So if you go to a bank, your bank, and your bank is saying, for the transaction you want to do is 35%, you can ask them, okay, I want to take advantage of the Development Bank of Nigeria's loan. Which loans do you have there? And then it's available for you to take advantage of. These are the terms and conditions for you to access those loans. It's good for you to know that every, and I mean every commercial bank and microfinance bank have access to Development Bank of Nigeria loans. However, what the banks do is process it on your behalf to the Development Finance. So they will just be like a conduit. They will take it to DBN. Once DBN approves, then you can now access the funds there. So your bank is not the final processor of those funds. We're running home quickly, and we should be wrapping up very soon. Okay, so the next thing is we now understand the environment for finance. We understand why there's a focus on female finance. We understand some of the products that are available for female finance. The next thing we're going to talk about is accessing the finance. And I'm going to specifically talk about how you can start from this evening or even tomorrow to access the financing that you require. Okay? And I'm going to, of course, charity begins at home. So I'm going to talk about ourselves. We are the Ayzer Center, or Ayzer Limited. And we are what we call business development service providers for the Bank of Industry. So we are more or less like consultants, business consultants that have been shortlisted to handhold you through the process of accessing BOI loans. So what are the things that we need to do? Okay, so we broke it down into 2 steps. Number 1 is we need to qualify you because, like I said, BOI has preset terms for accessing the funds. So we need to qualify that, yes, your request, not you, but your request does meet with those terms, so that we don't have to start walking you down the long, wiry road of the application process, and then in the end, you do not qualify. So we're going to test eligibility, and then we'll engage you from there. And then we begin to look at your business model and look at all your whole business, assess your business, whether your business has the capacity to meet with your financial request. Once that is done, then we help you do your application and submit your application to the Bank of Industry. That is phase one. The second phase is where the Bank of Industry takes you in, begins to look at the requests. Of course, during this period, they continue to engage with us on your behalf. And then we work with them until we're able to get you an approval. Once we get an approval for you, which is an offer letter, you execute it. The next thing is we work with you to meet with the terms of disbursement. And once you have access to your finance, then we begin to work with you because to help ensure that, you know, the finance is judiciously and adequately utilized. So these are the things that, this is the two-step way by which we help you. We help to qualify you and help to you with the application process. Then once we've gotten an approval, we help to access the funds and then apply the funds so that it meets with the business use. What else do we do at Ayzer? We offer 4 cardinal services. We do business consulting, capacity building, which is training. We help also to access finance. And then, of course, we have an ecosystem that has tools, resources, mentors, and all the rest to help your business grow. Just like I said in the beginning, that as it takes a village to train up one child, it also takes a lot of partners to make a healthy business grow. So Ayzer, the ecosystem we have, and our ecosystem partners are here to help you grow. Why do you want to deal with us? First of all is that we have expertise, okay? We have people that have been in this field and we've seen quite a lot of products, and we've not only have we just seen it and had the number of years in it, we've also been successful. We've also been quite successful. Thirdly is, again, we have a convenient approach, which is highly digitized, so that the engagement can, will I say 70 to 80% of the engagement can be done online. And then the rest, if need be, would now be done offline, which means we'll now need to start moving documents. But hey, the good thing is that even with the Bank of Industry, it's coming to, their business model is being transformed, where soon enough we'll begin to submit applications digitally. So we're now looking at almost 100% seamless process. So why not work with an organization that is already has a digital focus and is aligned to ensure that your convenience is most met? So this is why we think you should choose Ayzer, and this is why Ayzer should be your choice in handling you through your financing journey. So what are the next steps? The next steps is to visit us at our website, which is here. Of course, immediately after this meeting, if you check your emails, you will see a follow-up email there that gives you more insight on how to engage us with your financing need. The best time for you to request for finance was yesterday. The next best time is now. Thank you very much for joining us for this brief webinar. Please drop your questions if there are any, and then we take them on from there. Okay. And before I forget, like I said, we will be, if there are any requests, you know, for business consulting services that's even beyond access to finance, because yes, businesses require finance, but some businesses require more than finance. And you say, look, I have sticky issues in my business and I would like a business consultant that is reputed to please walk me through. We will be, after this session, we'll be redirecting you to a link, and we'll ask that you please go ahead and then schedule a session, and then we'll be here to handhold you and help you through those challenges. Thank you.